And then I'm going to put a couple of shakes of the pepper. And a little bit of the garlic powder or granulated garlic, whatever one you have. And then a little bit of onion powder. You see it right here? Your dad just put his hand in front. He wants to be part of the program. So I'm going to, Chris, I'm going to mix it up with my hands, because the next step you want to do is you're going to want to dry these off a bit. So I've got some paper towels really handy. So I'm going to lift this up in the back and show you that I'm drying them off a little bit. And here's a plastic bag that I'm going to have you use, because I know that you don't necessarily have a bunch of platters. So I'm going to open this up before I get started. And I'm going to lay, can you see it? I'm going to lay a piece of paper towel inside. You see that? So then that's what you're going to overnight them in, okay? So, patting them dry a little bit on one side. I'm going to like sprinkle the seasoning on them on one side, you see? Just a little bit, don't do too much. And then I'm going to turn them over. Actually, I should have had my paper towel underneath because they're going to get wet again, but that's okay. I'm going to turn them all over like this. And by the way, I prefer that you put your seasoning in a separate cup like I've done, because otherwise you're going to cross-contaminate. So once I'm done with the seasoning, like just sprinkling a little over them, I want you to throw this out, because you don't want your fingers from the juice with the blood from the chicken to get in anything else. And then you're going to then be very sick. So we don't want that. So here you go. Sprinkle it all over just a little bit. Salt and pepper, maybe a little bit of the seasoned salt. And then what we're going to do next, Chris, is going to lay them inside the bag that's lined right now with the paper towel, okay? Just like this. Can you see? You make them one single layer. And if you have too many wings, you're going to put a layer of paper towel over top of these wings and then put the other one. Let me show you. I bet your wings don't look as hefty as these. They're from Meniere's. So I'm going to put them in like this. Then I'm going to put another layer. Can you see? I'm going to put another layer on top, like this. And then layer more chicken on top. Hopefully you can see this. I'll show you what it looks like when it's done. So I've got all the chicken in there. Remember, I just seasoned it slightly. Now, if you had a big platter like mine, you could put this actually open on the platter. And what you want to do is leave the end of it open so that the air can circulate and they dry out. You want them to be as dried out as possible before you cook them. Okay, let me show you. I put the last one on top. Can you see? Got them layered in the Ziploc bag. And then you can put them, I would not put them directly on your shelf in your refrigerator. I would put them on top of a plate and put it in, so that if anything drips out, you don't have cross-contamination. So take a look. Okay. Now this is step number one, and you're going to let them sit overnight so that they can get nice and dried out. Wash your hands.
With soap.
With soap and hot water. Now, that's step number one. Now, you pretend that you've had overnight with the chicken wings drying out in the fridge. So now here comes step number two. We're going to get ready to cook them. Now, your dad and I don't have the luxury of waiting overnight because we did not prepare anything for dinner, and I wanted to show you all three steps. So now, what I'm going to do next, Chris, is get my oven on 500 degrees. Whoops. Bake 500. So I do that first before I prepare my wings so that it has time to warm up. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put them all on the same sheet because it seems to work really well for me and your dad. So I'm going to get the biggest pan I have, which I think your brother Jonathan may have taken. So I'm going to get the one that I know. And I want something, you're going to want something with a little bit of a lip on it because it does, the chicken fat will drizzle off of it and you don't want it to get into your oven. It's not really good and it's smoky and it's smelly. So here's what I want to do next, Chris. You see this pan? I'm going to line it with parchment paper. So I love this kind because it's slightly brown. And the benefit of that is, by the way, I ran out, so let me go get another one. The benefit of the brown parchment paper is I believe that it makes it brown, it browns it very nicely. So I'm going to put some in the bottom of this pan. I'm back now. You see that? This is the kind I like. It's unbleached, so it's brown. And I'm going to lay this on the bottom of it. Now again, pretend like this is overnight and you're now getting ready to cook them and they're really nice and dry. So, but before I line it, I'm going to spray it with parchment paper to anchor it. No, spray it with, sorry, not spray it with parchment paper. Spray it with the non-cooking spray, non-stick cooking spray. Then I'm going to lay on the parchment paper so that it sticks. So here we go. Perfect. See how it looks? And then just to make sure, even though parchment paper really is supposed to be non-stick in general, you shouldn't have to spray it again. I always do because sometimes the chicken legs, wings, actually stick a little bit. So I sprayed it underneath and over. You can see the little way that it's going, sticking to the bottom, so that's good. Now, Chris, while the oven is warming up, and while you're getting ready to cook the chicken, you need to prepare it. So I really like to I use extra virgin olive oil, and I put, you see the bag? I put about, I don't know, maybe a quarter of a cup of olive oil in it. Do you see it at the bottom? But I don't stop there. I add a little bit more of the seasoned salt because hopefully you did not put too much when you were drying them out. Put a little bit in the bottom. Do you see that? And now I'm going to put in some paprika. I'll be right there. So I'm going to put a little bit of paprika in there too. You see it going in? Like maybe like a teaspoon or two of, just enough to make it colorful, because I believe that paprika helps to also crispen or make what you're cooking crispier and gives it a little bit of brown look. So I've got all that in here. Look what I'm doing. I'm mixing it all up with my hand. I close the top and I'm rubbing my hands in between the spices and the olive oil, EVO oil, so that I mix it up together. Okay? Now, the next step is to take my chicken wings, sorry. And I'm patting them dry because mine didn't have a chance to really dry out. I'm drying them out. Do you see that? I'm kind of patting them with the paper towel. See how nice and dry they are? They're not drippy at all. I'm going to put them all at one time into this bag so they can get nice and seasoned, along with putting some olive oil on top, because again, I think that helps the cooking process and it also makes it pretty crispy. So here we go. One at a time, I put them in. Jiggle the bag. We set this aside. Jiggle the bag so that they get down in there. Make sure, again, that they're dry, dry, dry. Try not to touch anything while you're touching the chicken. Dry, dry, dry. Put them in. So I'm going to do all of them. I wish I had some interesting music, but I don't. Boom, chicka, 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 boom, chicka, 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 boom. La, la, la. Here you go. You're making chicken wings. There you go. There's your music. So then you do this.